Hey, what's up, my friends? This is the Zim video, and I'm the Zim. This is, I don't really need my headphones. I'm gonna take them off. This is the MCU Aftershow, and so I'm live on YouTube right now, but I'm also recording this on, for the MFA, or not. I have so many things. This is for the Creative Mind podcast. This is a dual, somewhat simulcast type of deal. So if you're into hanging out with me talking about the MCU, but you don't want to watch it live or you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can find it also on the Creative Mind podcast, and the link to it is in the description of the video. So, jump down there. And today is, I don't know, I'm just gonna do it's sort of like a reminder for myself, but for anybody else that cares what this show is all about. I'm going to kind of break it down. We're going to talk a little bit about each thing. This won't be a long show today because I didn't really prep a lot of notes or anything. If somebody, it looks like there's one person in the viewing this right now. If you have questions, if you want to create the show with me by just jumping in the comments or in the chat and just start to ask me questions about the MCU, about my thoughts and ideas about whatever, that'd be great. We can create this show together. But today's show is just kind of a warm up, kind of stretch those muscles again, because starting next week, it is the beginning of the series with Loki, which we'll get into. But basically, the way I've been doing this up till now is it's pretty much, you know, conditional on a show. Like this is a very much a response to whatever is this particular episode today is more of like a speculation on what's to come, and we'll just kind of maybe think about it. Like I said, I didn't write a lot of notes. I'm just going to kind of try to remember what I've seen on the internet and whatnot over the last, since the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But, coming up, next week we'll have Loki, we'll have watched the show, and then we'll get a chance to kind of like respond to it. And the way I kind of build it out is it's based on each character of the show. So whatever characters they introduce in the first episode, we'll just talk about each character. And that's kind of the way I've been structuring this show. It looks like there's 4 people watching this right now, so feel free to jump in the chat and talk to me, ask me questions about something. If you want to stir the pot and get kind of ideas out there, what you're thinking about things, I'd love to hear from you. But like I said, it's available both on the Creative Mind podcast and on my YouTube channel. And of course, if you have like YouTube Premium, you can just turn off the sound or turn off the video and put it in your pocket and listen to it like a podcast, because this is definitely more of a podcast than a video. Like I happen to have something on the screen right now just because I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that I can put things on the screen. So I have a picture of Loki in his like President Loki outfit that we've seen in the previews. But so I guess that's really the introduction to this. And then like I said, it'll probably be short today unless you guys jump in the comment or in the chat and stir the pot a little bit, and we'll see what happens. But we'll start with Loki because that's the big deal. That's what we're coming up with. And the main thing I wanted to say about Loki, really, I'm super hyped for it, obviously. I mean, I'm super hyped pretty much for everything that the MCU is putting out. So there's nothing I'm like, oh man, that looks dumb. There hasn't been anything. I mean, for me, the worst MCU movies up till this point, and kind of MCU stuff for me, like Thor: The Dark World was pretty bad. The first Hulk movie was kind of didn't really fit the kind of vibe. It was before Iron Man 1, so like they didn't know how to write these movies. Like Jon Favreau kind of like changed the tone, like started that tone of what the MCU was going to be all about. So yeah, we have Don in the chat. This isn't a Top War show, and odds are very low that I'm going to get another, promo code for Top War. So thanks for jumping in the chat. I appreciate your interacting with the show. If you have any questions about the MCU, what is your favorite MCU situation, character, movie? Do you have a favorite? I'd love to hear about it. What yours is. I'm doing great though, by the way. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. How are you? Like I said, I didn't come to this show today with a lot of prep. I'm just like wanted to jump on and just kind of just talk, just see what see what's up, see if you guys are interested in talking to me about the MCU because I'd really love it. I mean, I don't know. There's probably something I need to do to build this up. Like I'd love this show to get to the point of the Saturday Top 4 show where people are just down and want to talk about it and kind of hang out with me. So, because I love the MCU, I love talking about it. I have thoughts, ideas, and all that kind of stuff that are coming down the pipe with the MCU. And I've watched every movie multiple times. In fact, just last night I watched was it last night? Well, a couple nights I split it up, but I watched the third Iron Man movie, which gets kind of mixed, lukewarm reception, especially since like they kind of did that bait and switch with the Mandarin. Not a lot of people like that. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with the Mandarin with Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, or is that the name of the? Yeah, yeah. The Shang-Chi movie that's coming out, and how they deal with the Ten Rings and that kind of idea, and if they bring back the Mandarin, like the real Mandarin or whatever. I don't know what what the plan is there, but and it was kind of disappointing that they did drop that line in the movie. So Trevor Slattery is the guy that um played the fake Mandarin, but the actor Ben Kingsley, like such an amazing actor that they kind of like wasted him. Like he would have been a cool actual Mandarin, but they did drop that line in that they gave him plastic surgery. So there could be this thing like maybe somebody that looks just like him is an actual like Mandarin type character. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there because the MCU is able to do that in some ways. They've planned this so far out that things that we don't know are significant from an earlier movie. Oh, it's like, oh, they actually had this thought that they were going to use that coming up, which is pretty crazy to me. But so back on, oh, basically, but the last thing I wanted to say about Iron Man 3 though. So I've watched Iron Man 1, I watched Iron Man 2. I watched I think those are the only ones recently I've watched. And then so I wanted to watch Iron Man 3, and visually I think by the time they got to Iron Man 3, they started to figure out something visually with the production value of the movies, just in terms of like color grading and that type of thing, that is carried on through the rest of the MCU. Like that's where I feel like there was a pivot that I haven't heard anybody talk about, in terms of that kind of context. Just the way that it just felt. I'm like, oh, this feels more like what the rest of the movies feel like up, because the first, Iron Man 1 and even Iron Man 2, they were still kind of feeling it out and learning it, and like the budgets were different and all that kind of thing. So 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 yeah, so I just feel like by the time they got to Iron Man 3, that's when it really started to settle in, and like this is how we're making it. And I don't remember what movies maybe came out right around the same time as Iron Man 3, like before and after. So maybe those movies also have that same kind of tone. But Iron Man 3 is where it kind of hit it for me. But let's talk a little bit about Loki. What the expectations are. Obviously, I'm expecting, this is my expectation. I think out of the, so they've dropped, WandaVision has come out. Everybody was like, we love WandaVision. WandaVision was amazing. And because it was like the first thing that we've seen in a long time, we were all hungry for the MCU. We were like, oh, please, we need something. We need something from the MCU because it's like been a while. They dropped WandaVision. It was like unexpected and awesome, and people were into it. I was into it. Maybe a little bit more geared toward the fan of the MCU, because like I watched it with my mom, and she kind of like didn't, the first couple episodes were like not as like kind of, she just didn't, wasn't in, she was like, this is weird. And I was like, wow, I love that it's weird, I love that it's different, they're giving us something different. So but and we set this kind of benchmark, or we set this kind of standard of like, okay, these Disney Plus shows are hopefully gonna be at least as good as WandaVision. And in my opinion, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier came along and was better, like across the board, better than WandaVision. Better cinema, like the cinematics of it, like it was consistently better throughout the whole thing. Like WandaVision had some problems with, for me, like it felt like at times it felt like made for TV versus made for cinema, whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier really held a pretty constant cinematic standard throughout the whole series. And there was only one moment, which I've talked about before, that kind of took me out of it, which was some of the sound back, like the musical score at one of the later episodes where they go back to Sam's kind of home and they use this kind of guitar driven sound. And I thought that kind of, it felt kind of like public domain type of, it didn't feel, cinema standard, music they could have chosen. Like, so I wasn't down with that. So Don, you're Thor in the Top War game. Is that because you're a fan of the MCU? Or is that just because you chose to use Thor? What's that all about? But yeah. So coming into the Loki series, I honestly feel like this is gonna be the best of the three so far. It's gonna be, because I don't know. I just feel like the combination of Loki is like one of the most popular characters in the MCU, and you got Tom Hiddleston, the actor, like all of them have great actors, but I just feel like, the fact that you have Tom Hiddleston, who's like a really great actor, and then you have Luke Wilson playing the Mobius character. I just feel like it's gonna be like the best. I just have a strong feeling that this is gonna be the best of these initial three Disney Plus MCU shows so far. So let me know what you think. Drop it in the chat or the comments, wherever you're listening. If you're listening to this on the podcast side, you can go over to find this video on YouTube and drop in the comments and let me know what you think. Do you think this is gonna be the best of the three so far? Do you think, were you like, no, WandaVision was amazing, that was the best one? No, Falcon and Winter Soldier was the best one. Of course, we haven't seen Loki yet, so we don't really know. But my prediction is this is gonna be the best of the three, in terms of just, I think it's gonna be a fun ride. It's gonna be, obvious. I feel like the cinematic, like the production quality is going to be on point, just like it was with Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then that bringing it out into like the more expansive, like both WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier were earthbound shows, where Loki is going to be kind of getting into that Guardians of the Galaxy area. Like, obviously, the, they're going to be just more space oriented. You got the, where's Thor and Loki from? What's that? Where's their people from? I can't remember the name of the place that they're from. But anyways, so you get this off-worldly, you get this outer space kind of vibe, and it's gonna be more expansive in that way. And hope maybe we'll get introduced to some of, maybe we'll get some kind of like background taste of what's going to happen in the Eternals, talking about like the celestial type of people, type of idea in the MCU. We get more sense of the lore and this, like the greater universe of the MCU. So I'm interested to see what kind of Easter eggs we get throughout the show. It'll be fun to watch. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say about about Loki and that kind of idea. So I don't know if you have any thoughts, drop them in the comments in the chat and we can go from there. The next one I have on my list to talk about is the Eternals. And so we've been getting a lot of, concepts around the Eternals, like what is this going to be all about? There's been the big things that I've been hearing is some people have been saying this is going to be the best MCU cinematic kind of experience yet, because we have the, our Academy Award winning director. I forget her name, but she just won the Academy Award for Best Director this last year. So, and she's making the Eternals. We have, we have a ensemble cast of pretty well known and awesome actors, and just like the idea of it. And one of the concepts, Marvel's been doing a good job of not just doing one type of movie. Like every movie that they've done up till now in a lot of ways has been, skinned in something else. It's like, or it's been like, Ant-Man is like a heist movie that's skinned in comic book. It's like, you Captain America Winter Soldier was like an espionage movie, and then like um Thor Ragnarok was like a buddy comedy, and so there's just been all these different, they skin these movies in different kind of ways. And so what is the basically the skin? I don't know if the skin is the comic books, or if the skin is the other genre, but whatever, you get what I'm saying. Like they kind of apply a different genre. It's not just a quote comic book movie. It's like these just happen to be comic book characters, but this movie is something else. And the potential for the Eternals, to be like an Oscar bait drama is like the thought that I had in my head. Like, they haven't had a dramatic movie yet in the MCU like that. This is a drama. This is not an action movie. And like, what if that? I would love that. I think the only thing playing against that idea is the fact that the cast is so big that oftentimes with kind of more dramatic movies, it's a very like a smaller, you know, smaller lens. I'll just say, but you have like your main couple actor. It's like it's just a smaller story. It's like a smaller scope of a movie. Or this movie seems like it's going to be pretty wide, broadly scoped. So that's an idea there. But looking at the preview was the cinematically, the kind of tone and texture and cinematic texture they have for the movie looks kind of unique. It looks like the pacing will be maybe potentially a little slower, which I'm looking forward to. I really want the big question, or the one idea is that coming off of Endgame, right? It's like, where do you go after Endgame? It's like you have like this, that was a nice, like, and so everybody's maybe expecting, you set up this expectations, like everything has to be just like Endgame, like you expect this big payoff every single movie. And I want them to intentionally go like, just slam on the brakes and go like, we're making a movie, we're making a show, we're making an idea. They kind of did with WandaVision in a way, but it's and they've kind of done it with WandaVision and with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and maybe we'll get this with Loki too, where you just get really focused on the character again. It's like not even about what's going on in the rest of the world or the universe in a way. You're just having this intimate, character-driven story, and there's like not even any special effects. Like, I would love a Marvel movie that was just like they minimized special effects, they minimized the scope, and they just talked to like this, had this intimate story about one of the characters, just to be like, whoa, let's like reset our palate, like give us a palate cleanse. Maybe it wouldn't do as good, monetarily, but I think it would set up the rest of the MCU for another round better than trying to go like, well, we left with Endgame, and I know they're smart enough not to feel like they have to do this, but to really reset us and go like, let's bring it back to just character driven, not a lot going on, kind of idea. Because even like the first Iron Man movie, really there wasn't a lot of big action sequences. It was just kind of like getting to know Tony Stark, building the Iron Man suit was like the first quarter of the movie. And then there really wasn't even a lot. There was the battle at the end, but it was very closed within this, him and Obadiah. It wasn't very expansive yet. So I just think that's what I'd like to see. But anyways, we'll see what Eternals actually ends up being. If you have any thoughts about what you think Eternals is going to be like, if you're excited for it, if you're not excited for it, let me know in the comments or in the chat or wherever. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And then I have the next one on my list is Spider-Man No Way Home. Of course, all the speculation is, are Tobey Maguire and who's the other, Andrew Garfield, gonna be in this one? They're denying that they will. I don't know at this point, because we haven't gotten any solid confirmation either way, and they've been keeping a lid on it. Obviously, they're bringing in a lot of the enemies from other. We have confirmation that Jamie Foxx Electro, who's the Molina, I can't remember his first name, but Doc Ock from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe is going to be in this. So, and then we have thoughts that the Green Goblin from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe is going to be in it as well. So it's like, where's this going? What is the potential for the, you know, multiverse in this idea? What's their priority there? I don't know. Are Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in it? I think it would be awesome if they were, if they did it correctly, if it wasn't just like, oh, here they are. But if they had a substantial, like, there was a reason for them, a really good reason for them to be there, I really think that would be awesome. I kind of hope it happens. I'm excited to see it, obviously. I was just talking to somebody else recently. I forget who it was, but having a conversation about the different Spider-Man up to this point, and my favorite so far is the Tom Holland Spider-Man. You know, other than the fact that I kind of am a little disappointed that Tony Stark made his suit and stuff so much, so was so involved. It's like I kind of wish he kind of made his own suit a little bit more, but whatever, that's fine. And the Iron Spider suit it's been controversial about that, but I'm okay with it. But I really like, just in terms of the way they've made the character kind of feel younger, at least at first. I mean, now we're getting on a few years. You know, next time we see Tom Holland on the screen, he's obviously going to be older. So we'll see how that feels as he physically gets older, and that kind of idea. But yeah, obviously excited for Spider-Man No Way Home. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to see what's going to possibly come out of it in terms of, you know, how all this Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, you know, like, speculation. Is it just all fan speculation, or is there any basis in reality or basis in it might actually happen? We'll see. Who knows? Who knows if it'll happen? And the last one I have to talk about today, see how long we're in. So we're about 22 minutes into this so far. The last one I have to talk about today is they finished up shooting on Thor Love and Thunder. Sounds like, I think that's what they said. And just got if you're watching this on YouTube, I got a picture of Taika Waititi and Thor, the one that went around the internet, together. And I'm, you know, obviously stoked. Thor Ragnarok, I'm pretty confident is still my favorite MCU movie up to the date. I just love that movie. I love the tone of it. I love how they decided to do it. The fact that Taika Waititi's coming back to direct this one, and, you know, did direct it. It's interesting. One of the things I heard on the John Campea show, which I like to listen to, Rob over there was worried that it would get too crazy and too zany, and he was worried that it would get too, and you know, when he said that, I was like, ooh, that's a good point. But then they followed it up with, like, so far Taika Waititi has not let us down, like, with pretty much everything that he's done. And he's able to balance, you know, being a goof with heartfelt, kind of emotional kind of storylines as well. So I can't not believe that he would do the same here, if that made any sense. So I believe he will be able to find a way, because we have the Jane Foster storyline that's going to be in this one. She's going to wield Mjolnir as well. And, you know, in the comics, the storyline with her is she's actually, like, dying from cancer, and that kind of, are they going to bring that kind of concept into the MCU? Is that what the storyline they're going to use? So even just that all by itself is going to ground the movie and make it, you know, ground this kind of concept of humanity within the movie, and bring it out of potential zany kind of ideas. So I don't know. But of course, since Thor Ragnarok is pretty much my favorite MCU movie up to date, the fact that we're getting basically a follow-up to that, direct follow-up to that in a lot of ways, I'm excited to see what we get out of this. And yeah, it'll be fun. All right, so that's all I got to say today. So next week we'll first off, if you have any thoughts of your own, I'd love to hear about them. Check it out in the comments. Drop your ideas, thoughts and ideas of what you're expecting, what you're looking forward to, anything I said today that makes you respond to anything, I'd love to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. And then, of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast side, which you can find at Creative Mind Podcast, the link is in the description of the video. But also, if you're listening to the podcast, the link to the video is in the description of the podcast. It's it's the channel, youtube.com/thezinvideo, and you can find this video and post any comments on it. That's the best and only way to interact with the show. So check it out. But love to hear your thoughts on all this stuff. So next week we'll have watched, by the time this next show comes out next Friday, we'll have watched the first episode of Loki. So we'll be able to break down, what we saw there. Like I said, the way that I do it, the way I developed doing it when I started with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier was basically I just go through each show based on each character and what they did in the show, and it usually kind of completes everything we need to know that I feel like we need to know about the show. And so looking forward to doing that. So hopefully you'll come back and hang out with me. And when I do it live every Friday, my plan is to do it live every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So wherever you are, come check out. If you're into the MCU and you like me and you want to hang out on YouTube, you can do it live with me 10 a.m. Fridays, unless otherwise, if I need to change the time or the date, I will do it in the community section of YouTube. So be sure to check that spot out if you're interested in making sure that we're going to be live at 10 a.m. on Fridays. And then the other thing I do with the show is it's kind of like, usually since I'm waiting, like I'm not trying to be the first one out the gate, like, oh, the show just dropped Tuesday night at midnight, I'm going to watch it and then put my show out Wednesday morning at 3 a.m. It's like I'm not even trying to do that. I'm intentionally kind of waiting a couple days so that we can hear what other pundits have to say, so we can actually respond to the response as well. That's kind of like the goal of the show. It's not just responding to the show, to Loki's all by itself. It's responding to Loki plus hearing what other people might have to say and go like, do we agree or disagree with how they think about it? So if there's a show that you like to watch that's another MCU oriented show or movie oriented show that you like to watch and you've heard people talk about it, bring it to the chat, bring it to the comments and say, over here I heard this idea, what do you think about that? And we can talk about it together. The three places that I get most of my thoughts from in terms of that are the John Campea show on YouTube. They're all YouTube based. John Campea, New Rock Stars, and Geek Culture, I think it's called. Geek Culture Explained, I think is what it's called now. He's changed the name a couple times, but also the Comic Books Explained, the Rob Core. So those are the three places that I listen to them pretty regular. And so when on their videos usually are the types that come out the moment, they drop right away. And so we get to hear what they have to say. And then a couple days later, we'll get together on Friday and we'll talk about everything we've heard and then just kind of dissect what we saw about the show itself. And then, of course, if any other MCU news drops, we can sprinkle that into the conversation as well. But for the next few weeks, it'll be focused on Loki. I don't even know how many episodes is scheduled to be in this round of the Disney Plus Loki show. So we'll see as time goes on. All right, thanks a lot for joining. Thanks for hanging out. A couple of people you were watching live, which I really appreciate that. And hopefully we can build this up as well. And until next time, be loving, kind, and patient. Peace.